Welcome back here today on the beautiful campuses of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Here today with Donna Carnley from Early Learning Coalition. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you've heard us talk about the cooperative partnerships that Florida Panhandle Technical College engages in with the public library, most recently. This time talking about Early Learning Coalition. If you're unaware of what Early Learning Coalition of Northwest Florida is, they are the organization that is sort of oversees the child care providers in the area. As a matter of fact, over a 6-county area. And today we're going to talk to Donna about how the patient care technology program here at the Technical College ties in with screenings for these children in these child care providers. It's a pretty interesting concept in this day of fiscal challenges. It makes total sense for organizations to work together. When we come back, we're going to talk about all this and more with Donna about how Florida Panhandle Technical College and Early Learning Coalition have forged this partnership. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guest today is Donna Carnley. No stranger to the show. I say that all the time when somebody returns. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. I think so.
A couple of years, I think, since we met up with you at the Panama City offices of Early Learning Coalition of Northwest Florida. How are things going?
I think they're going real well. Staying very, very busy.
You burn a lot of gas.
Yes, sir.
You are on the road a lot.
Yes, sir. We do. We see children in all 7 counties. Doing our vision and hearing screenings, checking height and weight, making sure the children are healthy so they can learn.
I'm glad that we're able to sort of nail you down today. We met with you at the Imagination Station right here in Chipley. You were doing screenings. You were teaching some of the students from the technical college here that are in the PCT or Patient Care Technology program. Let's start at the beginning, Donna. Let's talk about your role within Early Learning Coalition. What is it that you actually do? What's your job description? And talk a little bit about that.
I'm a health literacy specialist and coordinator. We have another health literacy specialist that primarily stays in Panama City, as well as a child specialist that goes in determining when the child needs vision or hearing screening. They'll specifically go out and check that to make sure that's not the beginning of the problem. A lot of times children have problems and it's as simple as not being able to see or hear. So they'll check that out and rule that out first and see how they're doing. So that is my role. I'll oversee some of that. As well as in the outer counties, we'll do the vision and hearing screenings in the child cares. We do travel to see these children annually or sometimes more if needed.
Would it be fair to say that in many cases, some of these children would not get those screenings or some of that medical attention? Exactly.
That's exactly right. The screenings are very clear and they're very concise, and sometimes it's not the same as going exactly the same as a doctor. It can't be set up as a clinic or that sort of thing, but it does give you an idea of needing additional follow-up with a physician. So it gives us an idea if it's needed or not.
In this case, we're here on the campuses of Florida Panhandle Technical College. You guys relatively recently have forged a relationship with the nursing program, the patient care technology in this case. The ability for you to come on campus, work with the students in that class, more importantly, take them out on clinical rounds, if you want to call them that, and they truly are, within some of these child care providers. Talk about how that came about.
I guess it was about 2014. We had met with Miss Martha Compton, and she thought that might be a good idea. I mean, just I guess our brains on both sides got to moving, our ideas, and we thought that might could work. So we met, and we she let us know what, and the director of the PCT program, and what they needed. They actually needed some other places for clinical experiences, and I could use some help. So it kind of was a balancing partnership. The students come in and they help within 2 weeks get all the screenings done, something that normally I would take 6 months to do. So we do a mass amount of screenings. It's a lot of work for a short period of time, but we get all the screenings done at one time, and then we come back in the spring and repeat some of these screenings for the children.
Now, for the nursing program or the PCT program, much of the clinicals is done in nursing homes, local hospitals. Would it be fair to say that this is a great opportunity to maybe see some of that younger demographic that you ordinarily wouldn't see so many of these children in that effort?
It's definitely the pediatric population. It gives us a very huge look into the pediatric population, not just the pediatric, but that 0 to 5 that a lot of times we don't get to see at one time. Now, in the hospital, sporadically, you'll see an infant or a baby or a 3-year-old, but they really get to see developmental things going on, developmental issues that are come about. They get to see when there's a referral in a vision or hearing and look in a little deeper and say, well, let's check their speech. Now that we see they're not hearing, let's dive into this a little deeper. So they still look at the patient, even though it's a pediatric patient, as a whole, and they get the idea of how that has to happen. We don't look at just one piece of it. Neither does a nurse in the hospital look at one. You don't treat just that monitor. You don't treat just those labs. You look at the whole patient. So that's how we get to do with the children as well.
Yeah, and if you see a child in a hospital setting, they're typically going to be sick. They're not going to be at their best. This sort of gives you that non-invasive opportunity to have one-on-one with these children, with your students that are in the class. And in a perfect world, you get to forge some relationships
right, exactly.
there. They get to working with health professionals at that young age.
Yep.
So the next time they go for a shot or a booster or
right.
whatever, they're not necessarily going to be afraid.
Exactly. They do get to see. We try to make it very fun for the children. So we don't, if they are scared or nervous, we don't push it. It's not a mandatory thing to have to get this. We'd rather not put a negative aspect on it. We want it to be fun. So they really like to listen.
We're showing some of that footage now that we shot and had the fortune of meeting up with some of your students and instructors just recently in one of those child care providers. It's really interesting to see that child, they come in, their eyes are very wide. By the time they leave, they're pretty much used to the whole process. Again, the next time they have to go, if they are sick, they're not going to have that fear factor necessarily.
That's true.
And they're going to be a lot more receptive to that medical attention. Melissa Watford, a longtime patient care technology instructor here on the campus, recently moved over to the other side of the building. She'll be teaching hemodialysis. There's a new instructor. What is her name?
Miss Rhonda Wilson.
Rhonda Wilson is teaching the patient care technology. In both their cases, it'll be their first year teaching those respective classes. A lot of changes going on. We don't miss an opportunity to point out that Martha Compton is just extremely aggressive and proactive, has been a real asset to the school, is making some changes which really have long-term effects. You're fortunate in the field in which you find yourself. We have almost 100% placement for graduates who come away wanting and take that state board in the PCT program. It's pretty amazing the need for nurses in this day and time. Mm-hmm. Do you see that out there in the public?
Oh yes, sir, definitely. I mean, we've always been told from years ago that nurses will always have a place. Nurses will always have somewhere to work. So it's nice to see that the options are expanding. I mean, partnership is just showing the expansion of it. I mean, these students are learning a piece that I didn't learn in nursing school. So it's very, very needed, and I think it's a wonderful piece.
Now, when you say you didn't have that opportunity when you were in nursing school, was it because you didn't have those partnerships with learning institutions such as the college?
I believe so. I think back, and some of the things our students are learning here were things that I haven't learned until I got here even. Once you get into a certain clinical setting, whether it's pediatrics or geriatrics, the nursing home or the critical care, that's where you stay. You don't get a lot of variety per se to look at certain things. Just the sickness. You don't get to look at the health piece, so the healthy piece, I should say.
Well, thank you for what you do. Thanks for your relationship with Early Learning Coalition, and in this case, thanks for that cooperative partnership with the Technical College. It's always a pleasure to see you and have you on. We're going to talk to a couple of your students here in a minute, so we're going to move forward with that. But let's don't let it be so long the next time you come on. Let's keep the public aware of what you guys are doing. You're doing great stuff. Early Learning Coalition, in many cases, we couldn't do without certainly the Technical College in the same fashion. So, again, thanks for that. And
you know what, Mr. Paul, I wanted to say one other thing with the students. In addition to just that clinical experience, they get to learn the wisdom and the knowledge of early learning, of that birth 0 to 5, that they can pass on to their friends and family. They can say, hey, let's get that checked. That really doesn't look right. When the majority of the population or the public maybe doesn't know or doesn't realize something is wrong. So they're getting a lot of experience that way as well, to pass on to just the average public.
When you go back to the office the next time, I know you're on the road a lot, but don't forget to thank Lynn Eldridge for us, Executive Director of Early Learning Coalition. We enjoy a great partnership with you guys, and there is no end to what we discover over time. I think we're in our 4th or 5th year working with ELC, and to this day we still learn something new every time we talk. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Been here today talking to Donna Carnley from Early Learning Coalition of Northwest Florida. Here today on the campuses of Florida Panhandle Technical College, talking about that cooperative partnership between ELC and FPTC. The opportunity for some of these nursing students to have their clinicals in a pediatric environment in which they're able, as you can see the footage we're showing now, hands-on with some of these younger people, learning not just the medical skills, but also the people skills necessary to deal with that younger generation. Many times these students will have children of their own, so they're already used to that, have siblings, brothers and sisters, cousins and nieces and nephews, so are certainly have been around those. But when you actually put your hands on a child that you don't know and have to work with them in that health environment, a little different situation, I would dare say.
Yes,
We'll be right back.